You have a vision that one solution at least is for us to take back control of our personal data and actually almost physically take it back and then give bits to whoever we want. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, I think we live, whenever you're kind of immersed in a current technology, you imagine that's the shape of things to come sometimes, despite the fact we talk about futurology. So people imagine that there's an inevitability that all our data now lives in the cloud. Somebody else is integrating that on a massive server farm, we don't quite know where. But there's another vision, and in fact, this idea of re-decentralizing the web or moving the data back to the edge, variously called things like the fog. You know, this idea that you can...
I think we just need to focus on that, not the cloud, but the fog, which is a great name. Explain the fog.
The idea that, in a sense, the data can live locally. We're all carrying around supercomputers in our pockets, you know, stuff that can hold gigabytes of data in our homes, on our desktops. Why does the data have to leave my home, leave the office, leave me, my kind of personal information sphere? And this principle of locality could end up being quite important. So what if your application came to your data and then did its thing and then went to somebody else's data? Now, of course, there are technical challenges in setting up search and querying and storage and consolidation. Some tasks, it's much better to try and pull the data in together. Interesting enough, in certain areas of machine learning, it'd be quite difficult to kind of get every single piece of data on demand, assemble, and then do the pattern finding. But we're talking here about other areas where at the moment we feel there's no need at all for the data to go into the cloud. And so Tim Berners-Lee, with his Solid project, we're working together on some of this area about new architectures, new protocols, new ways of taking advantage of the extraordinary computing that we all have about us and not letting the data escape into the cloud.
So just to be clear, you're talking about us being able to physically store all the data about us on a device which we own.
Or devices, or a local array of such devices. So the idea that data might be held local in some significant respect. And with a decentralized network, there's no reason why that shouldn't be a different kind of topology, a different kind of arrangement of data geometry.
Because obviously anyone who thinks that the actual safety of their data is better in their home than in a well-protected multi-billion-dollar institution with fire alarms and backups and security tools. I think they're wrong, aren't they? Because the risk of your data being wiped in your own home is much higher than if it's you know, in a company that's got a lot of infrastructure.
Well, there's an interesting argument about that, isn't there? Because I mean, the danger of what? Well, the danger of a large company
being wiped, to be honest.
Yes,
you know,
yes, and I think then there would be genuine need, and you'd see the emergence of all sorts of alternative services which did the duplication and replication, did the off-site. I mean, this is quite a standard model in computer security about where you can and how much you have to store to get that resilience. But it doesn't mean it has to go off. You really don't know where it's going off to. Or it's going off to this apparently secure site, and there they are managing all your credit details, and lo and behold, 240 million of them go missing.
So you're talking about a new industry of data lockers that specifically lock away your data and then don't do anything with it.
This idea of personal data stores has been around for a long time, and for various reasons, and it may be that there are some fundamental scale challenges, but it's also interesting to note that with the extraordinary pace and increase in power, the opportunity to keep stuff, large amounts of content, local to not just individuals, but institutions, the schools and the hospitals, could be a significant one. And that the centralization modeling, what people worry about is there's been an over-concentration and over-centralization of a lot of our computing infrastructure, such that there are concerns, not just about whether it's lost or eradicated, but about fundamentally ownership, long-term preservation, these kinds of issues.
One of the applications of blockchain outside of cryptocurrency would be, and has been suggested to be, storing your personal data distributed around the world, encrypted, so it can't be read by the wrong people. What do you make of blockchain?
Well, I think there is, I mean, those, again, that kind of decentralized distributed architecture is a class of approach to this. And I think there are a number. I think the whole area of distributed computing, decentralized computing architectures is very much back on the books. Yeah.
And what do you think of the idea of blockchain in general? Because it is the big buzzword at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, one has to, in its application context, it has challenges. I mean, famously, where it's used for currency management, for things like Bitcoin, the worry there is essentially around how much computation is actually spent in reconciling and doing the actual matching to understand and guarantee that you've got access to what you think you should have access to. And there's some very interesting, I think, challenges around the whole, literally the energetics of doing that.